Good morning. So I guess it doesn't really matter if it's morning or not because we're doing this virtually. So whatever time of day it is, well, good that thing. We're having a discussion about testosterone, and our principal player today is testosterone, which we will emphasize several times in this particular conversation. Testosterone is an intermediate hormone. It can become 5-alpha dihydrotestosterone, or it can become 17-beta estradiol. The fellow in this particular picture is none other than Eugene Sandow, who was one of the great strongmen early part of the century. And interesting because he was considered to be the picture of health at a certain time and personification of testosterone. And he probably looks a lot different than, say, Arnold Schwarzenegger or one of those guys. The point, though, is that testosterone has a pretty global effect on a person, both good and bad. There is an elaborate story that comes along with hormones of all kinds. So not to belabor this kind of biochemistry aspect, but recognize that cholesterol is the building block to all steroid hormones. We kind of need that to happen, by the way. Estrogen really does make the world go round, and it maintains a flexibility and a plasticity to neurologic structures. And so testosterone tends to create a certain kind of rigidity to those neurologic structures that isn't always so fostering of, say, creative thought processes and more creative problem solving. So here again, this idea of gender. And gender is a politically charged subject, granted. And so XX, XY is the genetic definition, male, female. In the prenatal brain, testosterone plays this role to allow estradiol into the brain to have this masculinizing effect. We do recognize that females who, for whatever reason, are exposed to more testosterone in the womb do tend to have more masculine features and are often treated more like boys as they're developing, kind of that tomboy kind of idea, I guess you could say. And so here we go with a plant, saw palmetto, that now suddenly becomes the central player in all of the health food stores in their men's health section. When in fact, this was not necessarily a plant that historically pertained specifically to men's health. Here is, if we go back to 1898 in King's American Dispensatory, here's a berry that acts as an expectorant, helps reduce the irritation of mucous tissues all over the body, and is useful in irritative coughs, whooping cough, laryngitis, asthma, and improving digestion and gastrointestinal function. Hemidesmus indicus, which is a non-tumul, is really an amazingly wonderful smelling plant. In fact, reportedly, a lot of times the young men will douse themselves with it before they go to the clubs because it's kind of like cologne, and there's a belief that it improves one's virility and attractiveness to the opposite sex.